this room, the sound of the tapping of the typewriter keys is like knuckles on wood, and my perspiration falls down upon the keys that are being punched by my trembling fingers. A mosquito circles above my bent head. There are flies buzzing and colliding with the wire screen. Around the naked yellow bulb in the ceiling, a bit of torn paper that is a moth flutters. An ant crawls up the wall. I watch it, the ant, with bitterness. How mistaken we three were. Susan and I and William Tinsley. Whoever you are, wherever you are, if you hear this, do not ever again crush the ants upon the sidewalk. Do not smash the bumblebee that thunders by your window. Do not annihilate the cricket upon your hearth. You see, that's where Tinsley made his colossal error. You remember Tinsley. You must do. He was the man who threw away $1 million on fly sprays and insecticides and ant killers. I was this man's secretary just after the Second World War. I was with him when he wandered into a web and became lost forever from human eyes beyond midnight.
Biotex, the new soap and pre-wash powder, presents Beyond Midnight by Michael McCabe.
Now, ladies, we're speaking about Biotex in a series of programs, and Mrs. E.B. Granger wrote to say that she decided to try our Biotex just to see if it lived up to our claims. And she said, I bought a packet, and lo and behold, it actually did just what the advert said. I'm so proud of the children's white shirts, the hankies, and the underwear that I want to say it will be Biotex for me every washing day from now on. Some of my family's accessories were left with slight stains, but now, thanks to Biotex soaking, they come out white, and the stains do go away, as you say. Now, that is a statement from Mrs. Granger of Heathfield of the Cape, and it bears out what we have been saying to you, ladies, ever since Biotex first came on the market. We said to you, it is different to any washing product that you've ever used before. We claim that the stubborn stains will vanish, and people like Mrs. Granger bear out our claims. Remember, Biotex.
There was never a spot for a fly or a mosquito in Tinsley's office. Tinsley destroyed anything that buzzed or flew. Destroyed it instantly with one stroke of his magnificent fly swatter. I shall never forget that instrument of death. Tinsley carried the swatter to work with him one morning in July 1946. By the week's end, if I happened to be in one of the filing alcoves out of sight when Tinsley arrived, I could always tell of his arrival when I heard the swicking, whistling passage of his fly swatter through the air and the thump as it landed. People, I reckon, have a right to be as eccentric as they please. But Tinsley was ridiculous.
Oh, hello, Steve. All ready?
Yeah, all ready.
Before we start, would you mind cleaning away the corpses? Right, to S.H. Little, Philadelphia, dear Little. We'll invest money in your insect spray. $5,000. Stop.
5,000.
5,000. Advise immediate production. Sincerely. You think I'm crazy?
Is that a P.S. or are you talking to me?
Oh, did you get that check for $1,000 off to the Termite Control Company? One thing I like about my office is all iron, cement, solid. Not a chance for termites. Blast it, Steve. Has that been there all the time? Hey, come on, help me find it.
What?
Why? Quickly, Steve. Systematically. Don't just sit there.
Oh, hold on.
Hey, stay out. Don't open that door. Don't come in. Come and help me, Steve.
Listen, I'm a secretary and a right-hand stooge, not a spotter for high-flying insects.
Oh, wait. haven't got eyes in the back of my head. And neither have they, so you know what they do?
They? Who are they?
Never mind. Forget it. Don't talk about this to anyone.
Bill, you should go and see a psychiatrist about...
Sure. And the psychiatrist will tell his wife, and she'd tell others, and then they find out. They're everywhere, don't you understand? I don't want to be stopped with my campaign.
You mean the $100,000 you've sunk into your insect sprays and ant pastes in the last 4 weeks? Someone should stop you. You'll break yourself and me and the stock...
Shut up! You don't understand! Doesn't understand. How can he understand? How can anybody understand?
Well, look, I may be a psychiatrist, but I wouldn't stand a chance unless Tinsley came to see me. I couldn't help him unless he wanted help. I'll look him over for you if you insist, though, for old time's sake. But I have the sights lost if the patient won't cooperate.
You've got to help me, Susan. He'll be stark raving in another month. I think he has delusions of persecution. And besides, I need him. I need my job. It just won't do for the guy. The first date worked out well. We laughed, we danced. We dined at the Brown Derby. Tinsley didn't suspect for a moment that the slender, soft-voiced woman in his arms was a psychiatrist, picking his reactions apart as they waltzed. We drove home that night in a happy mood.
No, wait. I remember now. It went...
Well, you're both wrong. It went...
No, it's... Bill! Look out! Get hold of the wheel!
We're going... Mart. Did you see it? Got in my face. But I crushed it. There, do you see? Against the dash. 99% of all life in the world is insect life.
I'm having lunch with him tomorrow. He likes me. I might find out what we want to know. Oh, by the way, Steve, does he have any pets?
He's never owned any animal. We detest them.
Yeah, I might have expected that. Well, good night, Steve. See you tomorrow.
The flies were breeding thick and golden and buzzing like a million intricately fine electric machines in the pouring direct light of summer noon. I went to see Lawyer Remington, who had been Tinsley's family representative for 30 years, even before Tinsley was born.
Poor Tinsley. He was only 17 when it happened.
It happened? What happened? Some accident or something?
Tinsley's father took him hunting up in the Lake Arrowhead region in the autumn of his 17th year. Beautiful country. I was hunting not far from there in that self-same afternoon. Game was plentiful. Tinsley's father leaned his gun against a bush to lace his shoe when a flurry of quail arose. They were frightened and they flew straight at the man and the boy. One of the birds knocked the gun over and it fired off, and the charge hit Tinsley Sr. full in the face.
No.
Oh, that wasn't the least of it. What followed was something indescribable to the boy. He ran 5 miles for help, leaving his father dead. Young Tinsley made it to the road and back with a doctor and 2 other men in something like 6 hours. Sun was just going down when they hurried through the pine forest to where the father lay. The entire body, the arms, the legs, and the shattered contour of the face was clustered over and covered with scuttling, twitching insects. Bugs, ants, flies, insects of every description drawn by the sweet odor of blood. It wasn't possible to see 1 square inch of the elder Tinsley's body.
Oh. Sorry, I just, sorry.
Oh, you cut your hand. Glasses aren't made to squeeze that hard, boy.
Yeah,
Well, let me get you something to put in your hand. So, there it is. That's why Tinsley has this fear of insects and animals.
What was his father's profession?
Oh, I thought you knew. Why, the elder Tinsley was a very famous naturalist. Very famous indeed. Ironic in a way, isn't it? That he should be killed by the very creatures he studied. Here, hold your hand out.
Oh, it's not bleeding too much. Don't worry.
Pretty well puts the finger on Tinsley, all right. He's been brooding. Oh, look around. See how easy it'd be to believe that insects really are the horrors he makes them out to be. There's a monarch butterfly pacing us. Is it listening to our every word? Oh, it's gone now. Couldn't keep it up. Tinsley the elder was a naturalist. And what happened? He interfered, busybodied where he wasn't wanted. So they who control the animals and insects, killed him. Night and day for the last 10 years, that thought's been on Bill's mind.
Well, I can't say I blame him. My father had been killed in like fashion.
He refuses to talk when there's an insect in the room. Isn't that so, Steve?
Yeah. He's afraid they'll discover what he knows about them.
Well, you can see how silly that is yourself, can't you? Well, he couldn't possibly keep it a secret, granting that butterflies and ants and houseflies are evil, because you and I have talked about it, and others, too. But he persists on this delusion that as long as he himself says no word in their presence... Well, he's still alive, isn't he? And if they are evil and fear his knowledge, wouldn't they have destroyed him long ago?
Maybe they're playing with him. You know, Susan, it's strange. The elder Tinsley was on the verge of some great discovery when he was killed. It fits a pattern. The next Sunday morning, the three of us went to church. On the back of the bald head of the man in the pew in front of us, a fly crawled. For the first time in my life, I felt a strange interest, a foreboding almost. And I had to resist a temptation to crush the insect there and then on the man's head. That Sunday afternoon, we went for a picnic. Bill Tinsley, Susan, and I. She tried to get him to talk about his fear, but he merely pointed to the column of ants straggling across the tablecloth towards the jam, shook his head angrily. I felt, however, that he was near breaking point, and would confide in us pretty soon if we were only patient. We didn't have to wait long. 2 days, in fact.
For the man who knows how to handle his car. Johnson's Raleigh, the new car wax with the detergent-proof formula, won't wash off. It's detergent resistant. Raleigh gives sure wax protection that's deep and long-lasting. And the finish is fast, very fast. Johnson's Raleigh car wax in liquid or paste form.
Soak, soak, that's all you have to do. Soak, soak, just for an hour or two you'll find things look as good as new when you use new Biotex.
With amazing new Biotex, the stubbornest stains will vanish. Yes, vanish clean away. Just by soaking your laundry overnight in cold water, or for an hour or two in warm water, or by pre-washing it quickly in your washing machine. Get amazing new Biotex today.
Tuesday evening, inside the locked study of Tinsley's house. He strode up and down. Susan and I, we stood, cocktails in hand.
Metal. No maggots, ticks, wood beetles, termites. Metal chairs, metal everything. We're alone, aren't we?
I think so.
Good. Have you ever wondered about God and the devil and the universe, Steve? Susan? Have you ever realized how cruel the world is? How we try to get ahead, and every time we succeed a fraction, we're hit over the head. The forces of evil. How do these forces get around? I used to wonder. Now I know. We are being watched constantly. Is there ever a moment in our lives that passes without a fly buzzing in our room with us? Or an ant crossing our path? Or a mosquito skirting around a netting? Small, winged things we take no notice of. They follow us every day of our lives. They listen to our prayers, our hopes, our fears. They listen and then tell what there is to be told to him or it or whatever dark force it is that sends them out into the world.
Oh, come
Oh, what are insects for? They're nothing but irritants to us mortals. Well, there's a very simple, although scientific answer. The government of them, of evil, is a small body, perhaps only one. It can't be everywhere at the same time, so it sends the flies, the ants, the bugs. There are so many of them, and there have been for so many years, we pay no heed to them. Familiarity has blinded us to them.
No, I don't believe any of
Let
that.
me finish before you judge. Think of it. Billions of insects checking, reporting, correlating, controlling humanity.
Come on, Bill. You're getting worse. Was that an accident when you were a kid? You let it feed on your mind. You can't go on.
Steve, you won't help with talk like that. Bill, if what you say is true, and these creatures are what you say they are, they must know about you. Why are you still alive?
Why? Because I've worked alone.
But if there is a they or it, evil force, like you say, it must have known for a month now. Because Steve and I have talked about you without taking any precautions. Flies, ants, these things could have overheard us. Isn't this proof that you're wrong? Listen, will you agree to an experiment?
What kind of experiment?
From now on, all your plans will be above board, in the open. If nothing happens to you in 8 weeks, then you'll have to agree that your fears are baseless.
But they'll kill me.
Listen, Steve and I will stake our lives on this. If you die, we die too. And I value my life greatly. We don't believe in your horrors, and we want to get you out of this.
I don't know.
8 weeks, Bill. You can go on manufacturing insecticides for the rest of your life if you want, but don't have a breakdown about it. The very fact of your living must prove they bear you no ill will. They've left you intact.
What I'm doing with insecticides is merely the beginning of the campaign. It may take 1,000 years, but in the end we can liberate ourselves.
Carry on with your campaign then for 8 weeks. Tell everyone about it. And then, if you do die, evidence will be left behind you. The world will know. And if, when the 8 weeks are up and you're still at liberty, you'll be free of these fears forever, Bill. Won't that be wonderful?
Susan, Steve, I... There, quick, above your head, Steve.
What?
I got the darn thing. I got it. I don't know why.
You'd stake your lives on this? With me? I reckon. 8 weeks.
We stayed with him at his house. That night, I couldn't sleep because of the crickets outside. I wandered down into the kitchen. There, I found Susan. We agreed that we were hungry and robbed the icebox of a leg of chicken and a carcass. We were about to plunge our knives into the carcass when a fly landed on it. We sat looking at the fly for 5 minutes. Then we put the carcass back into the icebox and went back to bed, hungry. I don't know why. At least I didn't, not then. But I do now. Heaven help me, I do now. I still couldn't sleep. And then something happened that put sleep out of my mind forever. I don't mind hearing a woman scream occasionally, but a man's scream is so strange and is heard so rarely that when it comes, it turns your blood into an Arctic torrent.
Bill! What's wrong? What is it? What?
Steve, don't touch me or it'll happen to you. I was wrong, but so near the truth. So near it doesn't matter. Keep away, Steve.
Steve! He's not dead for certain this time.
He's gone out. He's been in the shower. He's soaking wet. He's barely dressed.
I know. The shower's stolen. He must have burned himself. He's in the car. He's yours. You got to follow him. Bill?
Oh, Bill, you idiot, you fool. Slow down and wait for us, you nut.
He went east, I'm certain of it.
Well, why was he under a scalding shower, burning himself? Why?
There he is. There's his lights, 500 yards ahead, that's all. And then suddenly it happened. Bill Tinsley's car slowed right down suddenly.
Steve? Something's wrong. He stopped.
Stay here. Hear me? Stay here. Bill? 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 He didn't answer me. He couldn't. He slumped in his seat, his head back. Didn't do any good to kill flies, did it, Bill? No good to kill moths, termites, mosquitoes. The evil ones are too clever for that. Kill every insect in the world. Destroy the dogs, the cats, the chipmunks, all the animals in the world. And it could be done, eventually. And then what have you got left? Bacteria. Microbes. That's why you took that scalding shower, isn't it, Bill? But you can't kill bacteria fast enough. They multiply and multiply. Stay where you are! Is that you lying there, Bill? Your body changed by leprosy and gangrene, bubonic and malaria, tuberculosis all at once? Merciful heavens. The color and the smell of you. The rotting, fetid combination of disease you are. Microbes, messengers, millions of them, billions of them. Flies? Maybe flies are good. Insects are good. Invented by a merciful God to watch over his peoples. Not to do them harm, though. But the evil ones, they were clever, too. They invented bacteria. Go home. Now. I've got a job to do. Oh, Bill. You look so different. I drove Bill's car into the ditch and set fire to him and it. Susan drove away, not looking back. And now, tonight, a week later, I'm typing this out for what it's worth, here and now, in the summer evening, with flies buzzing about my room. Now I realize why Bill Tinsley lived so long. While his efforts were directed against insects, birds, and animals who were representatives of the good forces, the evil forces let him go ahead. Tinsley was unaware that he was working for the forces of evil. But when he comprehended that bacteria were the real enemy, then the evil one was demolished him. In my mind, I picture of the elder Tinsley and his terrible death. Why would the Quail, representatives of the good, kill him? The answer to this is clear now. Quail, too, have disease, and disease disrupts their natural setup. This caused them to strike down Tinsley's weapon, killing him. And the ants in columns over the dead man? Perhaps they were bringing solace to him from his maker. The game of chess continues, good against evil, and I am losing. Tonight I sit here writing and waiting, and my skin itches and softens. Susan is on the other side of town, safe from this knowledge which I must set on paper, even if it kills me. Even as I write, the skin of my fingers changes color and loosens. My face is wet and slippery. My tongue tastes bitter and acid. My stomach... There's a ringing in my ears. They're killing me. I'm dying as I write this. Believe me, it's no story I'm telling. No. Flesh of me will slide like a diseased cloak from my skeleton. But I must write on and on until I must...
Sailor. I cross the Atlantic pretty often. I have my favorite ships, you see, and I've a habit of waiting for certain vessels I favor. It may be prejudice, but I was only cheated out of a good passage once in my life. I remember it very well. It was one June, and the Kamchatka was a ship I always loved to travel on. I say was, because she emphatically no longer is. She's uncommonly clean in a run aft. She has enough bluffing off in the bows to keep her dry, and the lower berths are most of them double. She has a lot of advantages, but I won't cross that duck pond in her again. Why? You'll find out. You'll find out the terror that was curtained in the upper berth on the June crossing of the Atlantic that year, when all the drowned souls who ever were endeavored to drag me beyond midnight.
Biotex, the new soak and pre-wash powder, presents Beyond Midnight by Michael McCabe.
Since Biotex appeared on the market, we've had many endorsements from time to time, and these can be seen in our office. I am broadcasting some of these to you, and will do so as they come to hand. Mrs. M.V. Krause of 5th Avenue, Pinetown, Natal, wrote and said, "Here's a letter from me of appreciation to the makers of Biotex. I am highly satisfied with Biotex and have introduced my friends to your product, and so far there has not been one complaint that it does not live up to the claims you make for it. I have two sons aged 2.5 and 1 year. The elder boy gets filthy dirty, and his clothes are pretty much the worse for wear at the end of the day. The baby naturally drags himself about, and his little diapers become very black and dirty at the end of each day, too. The point I'm trying to make with you is that every night I soak these diapers and the elder child's clothing in Biotex, and in the morning, all I have is a slight rubbing and rinsing, and that's it. The name again is Biotex."
$105, lower berth, please.
The steward took my portmanteau, greatcoat, and rug. I shall never forget the expression on his face. I supposed at the time, as he led me into the lower regions, that the steward had had a little grog, but I said nothing and followed him. 105 was on the port side, well aft. There was nothing remarkable about the cabin. The lower berth was double. There was the usual washing apparatus. The folded blankets looked like large buckwheat cakes. The general air was one of desolation, I remember.
try and make you as comfortable all I can, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. So, well, I hope it'll be a good crossing for you.
Well, one passes across the Atlantic very much like another. Whales and icebergs are always indeed objects of interest. But after all, one whale is very much like another whale, and one rarely sees an iceberg at close quarters.
I agree, sir. No, one don't.
I must say, I'm not looking forward to the first day at sea. People pace the decks and stare at one. Everything's uncertain. No one knows whether the food's going to be good or bad or indifferent. Seasickness. No, I don't like the first day. Not that I'm generally sick, but new sailors, you know.
Yeah. Well, sir, if everything...
Yes, thanks very much. I'm sure you want to go and look after more passengers now.
Oh, thank you, sir. Pleasant trip.
I had the funny feeling, even then, that he was thinking me a queer fish. I don't know why. I also felt he didn't like number 105. But I mean, he wasn't going to live in it. I wasn't very keen either, but it didn't worry me unduly. I wasn't very pleased to find I was to have a companion, I have to admit. Before I'd been long in bed that night, he came in too. He was very tall, very pale, very thin, with sandy hair and whiskers. He was overdressed and a bit odd. I didn't like him and made up my mind I'd give him a miss whenever possible. If he rose early, I decided I would rise late, and vice versa. Anyway, I was pretty tired that first night. And perhaps the cabin wouldn't be so bad after all, I thought. What the devil? What happened to him? Gone. Nightmares? Groaning a bit. Odd smell. Damp, sort of. Blasted cold, in fact. What happened to that other fellow? Well.
It's a fine morning, and it's not a fine morning. I don't think it's much of a morning myself.
Well, no, it's not a very fine, must admit. You're the doctor, aren't you? My name's Brisbane.
It's just what I call ugly weather. Yes, I'm the doctor. How do you do?
How do you do? Very cold last night, I thought. However, when I looked, I found the porthole was wide open. Hadn't noticed it when I went to bed. Cabin was damp, too.
Damp? Whereabouts are you?
105. Why?
100?
Whatever's the matter?
Oh, nothing, no. Only, it's just that everybody's complained of that cabin for the last 3 trips.
Well, I shall complain, too. Certainly hasn't been properly aired. It's a shame.
Look, I don't believe it can be helped. You see, I believe there's something...
What?
Well, it's not my business to frighten passengers.
Oh, you needn't be afraid of frightening me. I can stand any amount of damp. If I get a cold, I shall come to you.
It's not so much the damp. However, I just say you'll get along very well. You have a roommate?
The deuce of a fellow who bolts out during the night and leaves the door open. Doctor, you keep staring at me.
Did he come back, this fellow?
Yes. I was asleep, but I woke up and heard him moving. Then I felt cold and went to sleep again. This morning I found the porthole open.
Look here. I don't care much for this ship. I don't care a rap for a reputation. I tell you what I'll do. I have a good-sized cabin up here. I'll share it with you, although I don't know you from Adam.
That's very good of you. Really, I think even now the cabin could be aired and cleaned out or something. Why don't you care for the ship?
We're not superstitious in our profession, sir. But the sea makes people so. I don't want to prejudice you, and I don't want to frighten you. But if you'll take my advice, you'll move in with me. I'd as soon see you overboard as know that you or any other man was asleep in 105.
Good gracious. Why?
Just because on the last 3 trips, the people who have slept there actually have gone overboard.
I was sure the doctor wasn't pulling my leg, but I was resolute all the same. I told him that even if 3 people had gone overboard, I was going to prove the exception. At breakfast that morning, I noticed that 1 or 2 of the officers looked grave. When I'd finished my meal, I left the dining room. I was informed by the steward that the captain of all people wanted to see me. I went toward the captain's cabin and found him waiting for me.
Sir, I want to ask a favor of you.
Do anything to oblige you.
Your roommate has disappeared. He's known to have turned in early last night. Did you notice anything extraordinary in his manner?
You don't mean to say he's gone overboard?
I fear he has.
He's the 4th, then. And I told the captain what the doctor had told me. He seemed annoyed. Then I told him what had occurred in the night. He was shocked and looked very grave.
What you say coincides almost exactly with what was told to me by the roommates of the 2 of the others who disappeared from 105. They built out and down the passage. 2 of them were seen to go overboard by the watch. Nobody, however, saw or heard the man who was lost last night.
The others, you searched, of course?
Of course. We stopped and lowered the boats, but we found nothing. Now, sir, I beg you not to mention this to any of the other passengers. I don't want the ship to get a bad name, and nothing hangs about the ocean going like stories of suicides. You shall have the choice of the officers' cabins, including mine, for the rest of the trip. Is that a bargain?
Yes, but I shan't move, thank you. If the steward will just take that unfortunate man's things out, I'll stay where I am. You'd have no fear that I'll follow him.
I'd rather...
Thank you, Captain. I'd rather stay where I am. Just 1 or 2 small things. I'd like the room cleaned and aired. I'd like the fastening of the port looked into. The thing was open this morning. And maybe the catch is loose or something.
Of course, you've every right to stay where you please, but... Oh, well, hang it, men. I wish you'd let me lock the place up and have done with it.
Towards evening, I met the doctor again, and he asked me whether I'd changed my mind. I told him I had not. He didn't say much, just...
You will, before long.
To handle his car. Johnson's Rally, the new car wax with the detergent-proof formula, won't wash off. It's detergent resistant. Rally gives Shaw wax protection that's deep and long-lasting. And the finish is fast, very fast. Johnson's Rally car wax in liquid or paste form.
Soak, soak, that's all you have to do. Soak, soak, just for an hour or 2 you'll find things look as good as new when you use new Biotex.
Amazing new Biotex soap stubborn stains away.
Clean, clean, everything soon will be clean, clean, for all the world to see. Soak, soak, stains away easily when you use new Biotex.
Get amazing new Biotex today and let soaking do the washing.
Stewart? Yes, sir.
What the deuce do you mean, you scoundrel? Leaving the port open every night. That's against the regulations. Do you realize if the ship heeled and water started to come in, 10 men couldn't shut it? I'm going to report you to the captain for endangering the ship.
Sir?
Well?
If you please, sir. There's nobody on board who can keep that porthole shut. You can try it yourself, sir. I ain't staying on this ship any longer once she docks, sir. And if I was you, sir, I'd just clear out and go and sleep with a surgeon or something.
I don't want to sleep with a surgeon.
Try that port now, sir. Wait, sir.
There, sir. Try it now, sir. It's fast.
Tight.
Yes, sir. But I wager my reputation as an A1 steward that within half an hour that thing will be open again.
If I find it open in the night, I'll give you a $5. It's not possible.
$5, did you say, sir? Oh, thank you, sir. Good night, sir. Pleasant repose and all manner of enchanting dreams, sir. Night, sir.
I went to bed and I slept. I awoke startled, sometime in the small hours. I felt the draft. I got out of my bunk and stood. The port was again wide open. It was then I thought I heard someone or something moving behind the closed curtains in the upper berth. I thrust in my hands to see if there was anyone in the upper berth. There was someone. It was as if I was plunging my hands into a damp cellar. The air was full of the smell of stagnant seawater. I laid hold of something that had the shape of a man's arm. It was smooth and wet and icy cold, and then the creature sprang violently forward against me. A clammy, oozy mass hit against me. It was heavy and wet and seemed endowed with supernatural strength. And then the creature rushed to the door and out. A sort of creeping horror had taken hold of me. But I examined the upper berth once more. By the light of the railway reading light I always carry with me. The bed had been slept in. The smell of the sea was strong, but the bedding was as dry as bone. I did not sleep anymore. I waited for the porthole to open again. It didn't.
Morning.
Doctor, you're quite right. There is something wrong about 105, and that's an understatement.
Thought you'd change your mind. Had a bad night, huh? You want to pick me up? Have a capital recipe.
No, thank you. But I would like to tell you what happened.
Come to my place.
The peculiar thing was I couldn't get the blasted port closed. I struggled and actually bent the brass fittings before I finally got it to stay.
You bring your bags here. Stay with me.
No. You come and take half of my cabin for a night. Help me get to the bottom of this thing.
You'll get to the bottom of something else if you try.
What?
The bottom of the sea. I'm leaving this ship. It's not canny.
You won't help me then?
Not I. It's my business to cure passengers' ailments, not monkey about with ghosts and things.
You really believe it is a ghost?
Have you any reasonable explanation of these things to offer? No, you have not. You say you'll find an explanation. Well, I tell you won't, sir, because there isn't one.
But my dear sir, can you tell me as a man of science that these things can't be explained?
I can tell you, and I do. And even if they could be explained, I would not be concerned with that explanation.
I'd made up my mind to spend another night in 105. If the doctor wouldn't join me, I was determined to have the captain. Consequently, I told him the whole story. I said that if no one would spend the night with me, I would ask leave to have the light burning all night and would try it alone. The captain fell for my ploy.
Look here. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll share your watch myself. We'll just see what happens. There may be some fellow skulking on board who steals a passage by frightening the people on this ship. It's just possible that there may be something queer in the carpentering of that berth.
Then I suggest, Captain, we take with us the ship's carpenter and make a thorough examination of the whole cabin.
Certainly. We will.
We did that. We took the cabin bit by bit completely to pieces. We found nothing in the least bit extraordinary. As we were finishing our work, the steward, Robert, looked in.
Well, sir, did you find anything, sir?
You were right about the porthole, Robert. Here we are.
Oh, thank you, sir. But, begging your pardon, sir, I'm a plain man, sir. But it's my belief you'd better turn out your things and let the carpenter here run half a dozen 4-inch screws through the door of this cabin. There's been 4 lives lost out of here to my own remembrance. And that in 4 trips. Better give it up, sir. Better give it up.
I'll Try it for one more night.
Now, you'll just put your signature to that, Mr. Brisbane? Yes, sir. You see, I cannot afford to laugh at the affair. Your signature to this writing, telling what we're about to do, is at least proof that another responsible man believed that something queer was happening in room 105 this crossing. Oh, well, if both of us are all right after this night and we do observe or experience anything uncanny, then you and I together will fill in our experiences and emotions. If nothing happens tonight, we'll try it again tomorrow and the next day. Now, suppose we put your portmanteau before the door. One of us can sit on it. Nothing can get out then. Is the port screwed down? Yes. I like the reading lantern that you suggest. And now we can see well into the upper berth. And I shall sit before the door. I've searched thoroughly. There's nothing in here save ourselves. Nothing at all. It's impossible for any human being to get in, or for any human being to open the port. All right. If we see anything now, it must be either imagination or something supernatural. First time it happened was in March. The person who slept here in the upper berth turned out to have been a lunatic. He'd taken this passage without the knowledge of his friends. Rushed out in the night and threw himself overboard before the officer of the watch could stop him. His suicide was accounted for on the grounds of his insanity. I've never heard of such a thing ever occurring before or after or in any other ship. Well, on the very trip... What are you looking at?
I could not reply. My eyes were riveted upon the porthole. The brass loop nut was beginning to turn very slowly upon the screw.
It moves. It's loosened. Look at it, it's loosened. I can turn it just with my hand. The queer thing is that the second man who was lost was supposed to have gone through that porthole. The weather was very heavy. There was an alarm that one of the ports was open, that the sea was coming in. Down here we found the whole cabin flooded. The water poured in every time the ship rolled. Ever since then, that place smells of seawater. On my word, I can smell it now, can't you?
Yes. To smell like this, the place must be damp. And yet when the carpenter examined it this morning, it seemed perfectly dry.
Why?
How did that bolt on the port come loose, Captain? I saw it move. Hello.
How did...
My reading lantern, which had been placed in the upper berth, was extinguished. Most extraordinary.
What? The port! It's no good. Wait. Stick. Do the ring no good. Nothing can close it. Nothing. I'm as good.
Brisbane, there's something in the upper berth. Hold the door. He won't escape us, whatever it is.
No, wait.
And I flung myself across that cabin and seized something which lay in the upper berth. It was something ghostly, horrible beyond words, and it moved in my grip. It was like the body of a man long drowned, and yet it moved and had the strength of 10 men living. Dead white eyes seemed to stare at me out of the dusk. The putrid odor of rank seawater was about it. Shiny hair hung in foul, wet curls over its face. I was wrestling with a dead thing. It wound its corpse's arms around my neck, the living death that was overpowering me. lay a long time on that cabin floor. The thing, whatever it was, could only have gone one way out, through the port. I revived the captain. He wasn't hurt, but badly stunned. There's nothing more. The carpenter ran a dozen 4-inch screws through the door of 105. And if ever you take a passage on the Kamchatka, you may ask for a berth in that cabin. You'll be told that it is engaged. It is engaged by something that's dead. I finished the trip in the surgeon's cabin. The captain never sailed again on that ship, although it is still running. I shall never sail her either. You see, I saw a ghost, if that's what the thing was. It was dead anyway. I believe that somehow that poor wretch who flung himself overboard, the first one, the lunatic, I believe he's condemned until that ship sails the Atlantic for the last time to sleep in the upper berth and hurl himself to his drowning death at night, every night.
Let's play some music. I feel like dancing.
But I thought you had a splitting headache.
Oh, that was 5 minutes ago. I've taken Grandpa headache powder since.
Grandpa headache powders kill pain, soothe strained nerves, and lift depression. Grandpa headache powders are extra effective because they have a triple action. Grandpa headache powders work extra fast because they dissolve almost immediately. Get fast, effective relief from any pain, all pain. Get Grandpa headache powders.
Ah, Grandpa.
Soak, soak, that's all you have to do. Soak, soak, just for an hour or two you'll find things look as good as new when you use new Biotex.
Amazing new Biotex acts with a biological action to soak out the stubbornest stains and loosen dirt. New Biotex is great for all textiles and synthetics, whites and colors. It contains no bleach. Get amazing new Biotex today and let soaking do the washing.
Beyond Midnight is presented every Friday night at 9:30 by Biotex, the new soak and pre-wash powder. The program is adapted for broadcasting and produced by Michael McCabe.
Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe.